The one thing that I think you need to constantly remember is where you came from in regard to your roots, and never try to be bigger than who you really are. And I think Lucas teaches you that. Growing up on a small farm in Lucas was really the only life I really knew, and it was a very simple life. From there, of course, obviously I learned a good work ethic and the strong family bond that comes with that kind of environment. What I remember most about Lucas High School, you knew everybody in your class, and you knew practically everybody in the entire high school and certain aspects. With that, it developed strong bonds, and some of those friendships last a lifetime. Being an ag student at Lucas, growing up on a farm, it was almost, I guess, automatic that you would be in the ag program. I admittedly learned early on, though, that I didn't want to be a farmer for the rest of my life. One memory of the ag program was my junior year. I was on a soils judging team that we won the state championship. We were the top team in the state, and I'm sure nobody else remembers that at this point. But obviously it was the only state championship that I can claim as a Lucas high school student. So when I left Lucas, I had no idea what my career path was going to be. I luckily had a very strong-willed mother that told me I was going to go to college. I was drawn to health and physical education, which, had been one of my likes in the past, and history. And with those areas, obviously, teaching is really the only or one of the only options. So that, drew me into education. In education, the most important aspect is the people that have the most direct contact with kids. As an administrator, and I spent the majority of my career as administrator, I was a support person. I supported the educational process through direction, leadership, mentorships, support, all of those things. When I was first teaching at Madison, I was the 8th grade social studies or American history teacher, and I had all the 8th graders, and you can imagine a lot of 8th graders can care less about American history. But I had this one girl who just gave me problems all year long. I mean, she just really was a difficult little thing to deal with. So finally, at the end of the year, I think it was the last day, and they're all out of there, and I'm thinking, whew, the year's done and over with. And I'm walking back and looking at the desk, and this girl, she took I think it was a marker, and wrote this long note apologizing for her behavior and telling me how much, how great a teacher I was and all this, and signed her name Mary. Just, one of those weird experiences that for whatever reason, you still recall. When I was superintendent at Rossford Exempted Village, their superintendent was leaving, and I was available, and it was close, and we agreed that I would come day by day as long as I could take it, and they wanted me there. But at the end of that year, the board still hadn't been able to get themselves together long enough to pull off a search for a new superintendent. And so they had asked, would I come back for another year? At the board meeting, when they approved my contract for the next year, they stood and cheered. I don't think I have ever experienced a standing ovation before. That one was difficult for me because, again, I don't really like to focus on proud moments. The decision to move back to Lucas in the fall of 2016, it was quite a few factors involved. The biggest one, though, was the fact that both of my parents had passed away and had left the family farm. Both my wife and I are retired in Perrysburg. We wanted to build a home, one final retirement home, so we worked on designs. It just all came together. I joined Lions Club. My father was a charter member of Lions Club, so it was almost inevitable that, someday I would probably be a Lucas Lion. The Mid-Ohio Educational Service Center, I'm elected to that and then appointed to Pioneer, but part of, the big plan that you have for your life. I'm retired. I'm blessed to be able to physically and mentally, still have some function in life. So it's my opportunity to give back. What I would tell a graduating student today, they have the ability and the potential to do whatever they want to in life. Try to stay positive in everything that you do. Take the good with the bad. Keep moving forward. And someday you'll look back, as I look back, and say there was a reason for all of this to happen. My Lucas upbringing helped me be rather successful in the things that I have been able to take on.